lying on a bed in the castle, being attended by Hippolyta, Matilda, Isabella, and Theodore. He is fascinated by Matilda and has trouble taking his eyes off of her.
I have excellent news, my lord. The surgeons assure me that none of your wounds are dangerous, and you will live without a doubt. But will you not tell us the story of how you came to this place, of your capture and your quest for Isabella? We had heard nothing but that you were held captive, a prisoner of the infidels.
While I was imprisoned, I dreamed that my daughter, of whom I had learned no news since my captivity, was detained in a castle, where she was in danger of most dreadful misfortunes, and that I obtained my liberty and required to repair to a wood near Joppa. I would learn more. Alarmed at this dream, and incapable of obeying the direction given by it, my chains became more grievous than ever. But while my thoughts were occupied on the means of obtaining my liberty, I received the agreeable news that the Confederate princes who were warning in Palestine had paid my ransom. I instantly set out for the wood that had been marked in my dream.
And what did you find, my lord?
For 3 days, my attendants and I wandered in the forest without seeing a human form, but on the evening of the 3rd we came to a cell, in which we found a venerable hermit in the agonies of death. Applying rich cordials, we brought the fainting man to his speech.
My sons, I am bound into your charity, but it is in vain. I am going to my eternal rest, yet I die with the satisfaction of performing the will of heaven. When first I repaired to this solitude, after seeing my country become prey to unbelievers, it is alas above 50 years since I was witness to that dreadful scene. St. Nicholas appeared to me and revealed a secret, which he bade me never disclose to mortal man but on my deathbed. This is that tremendous hour, and ye are no doubt the chosen warriors to whom I was ordered to reveal my trust. As soon as ye have done the last offices to this wretched corpse, dig under the 7th tree on the left hand of this poor cave, and your pains will, oh good heaven, receive my soul.
By break of day, when we had committed the holy relics to earth, we dug according to direction. But what was our astonishment when about the depth of 6 feet we discovered an enormous saber, the very weapon yonder in the court. On the blade, which was then partly out of the scabbard, those since closed by our efforts in removing it, were written the following lines. No, excuse me, madam. If I forbear to repeat them, I respect your sex and rank, and would not be guilty of offending your ear with sounds injurious to aught that is dear to you.
Proceed, my lord. Heaven does nothing in vain. Mortals must receive its divine behest with lowliness and submission. It is our part to deprecate its wrath or bow to its decrees. Repeat the sentence, my lord. We listen resigned.
The lines I read were these. Where'er a cask that suits this sword is found, with perils is thy daughter compassed round. Alfonso's blood alone can save the maid, and quiet a long restless prince's shade.
What is there in these lines that affects these princesses? Why were they to be shocked by a mysterious delicacy that has so little foundation?
Your words are rude, young man, and though fortune has favored you once...
My honored, discompose not yourself for the glossing of a peasant's son. He forgets the reverence he owes you, but he is not accustomed.
My children, be not so discomposed.
Manfred suddenly rushes in, sees Theodore, and stops in his tracks, alarmed.
Ha! What art thou, thou dreadful spectre? Is my hour come?
My dearest gracious lord, what is it you see? Why do you fix your eyeballs thus?
What? Dost thou see nothing, Hippolyta? Is this ghostly phantom sent to me alone? To rue who did not?
Mercy, sweetest self, my lord, resume your soul. Command your reason. There is none here but us, your friends.
What is that? Is not that Alfonso? Dost not thou see him? Can it be my brain's delirium?
This, my lord, this is Theodore, the youth who has been so unfortunate.
Theodore? Theodore, or a phantom, he has unhinged the soul of Manfred. But how comes he here? How comes he in armor?
I believe he went in search of Isabella.
Isabella? Yes. Yes, that is not doubtful. But how did he escape from durance in which I have left him? Was it Isabella? Or this hypocritical old friar that procured his enlargement?
Theodore responded,
And would a parent be criminal, my lord, if he meditated the deliverance of his child?
Jerome looks totally confused.
And it is thus, thou ungrateful old man, thou repayest mine and Hippolyta's bounties, and not content with thy traversing my heart's truest nearest wish, thou armest thy bastard and bringest him into my own castle to insult me!
My lord, you wrong my father. Neither he nor I are capable of harboring a thought against your peace. Is it insolence thus to surrender myself to your highness's pleasure? There is not a sentiment engraven on my heart that does not venerate you and yours.
Thy life is not my present purpose, but only tell me thy history and how thou camest connected to this old traitor here.
My lord!
Peace, impostor! I will not have him prompted.
My lord, I want no assistance. My story is very brief. I was carried at 5 years of age to Algiers with my mother, who had been taken by corsairs from the coast of Sicily. She died of grief in less than 12 months. Before she died, she found a writing about my arm under my garments, which told me I was the son of the Count Falconora.
It's most true. I am that wretched father.
Again I enjoin thee silence. Theodore, proceed.
I remained in slavery until within these 2 years, when attending on my master and his cruises, I was delivered by a Christian vessel, which overpowered the pirate, and discovering myself to the captain, he generously put me on shore in Sicily. But alas, instead of finding a father, I learned that his estate, which was situated on the coast, had, during his absence, been laid waste by the rover who carried my mother and me into captivity, that his castle had been burnt to the ground, and that my father on his return had sold what remained, and was retired into religion in the kingdom of Naples, but where no man could inform me. Destitute and friendless, hopeless almost of attaining the transport of a parent's embrace, I took the first opportunity of setting sail for Naples, from whence within these 6 days I wandered into this province, still supporting myself by the labor of my hands, nor until yestermorn did I believe that heaven had reserved any lot for me but peace of mind and contented poverty. This, my lord, is Theodore's story. I am blessed beyond my hope in finding a father. I am fortunate beyond my desert in having incurred your highness's displeasure.
This is not all. I am bound in honor to add what he suppresses. Though he is modest, I must be generous. He is one of the bravest youths on Christian ground. He is warm too, and from the short knowledge I have of him, I will pledge myself for his veracity. If what he reports of himself were not true, he would not utter it. And for me, youth, I honor a frankness which becomes thy birth. But now, and thou didst offend me, yet the noble blood which flows in thy veins may well be allowed to boil out, when it has so recently traced itself to its source. Come, my lord, if I can pardon him, surely you may. It is not the youth's fault if you took him for a spectre.
If beings from another world have power to impress my mind with awe, it is more than living man can do, nor could a stripling's arm.
My lord, your guest has occasion for repose. Shall we not leave him to his rest?
Right. All but Matilda and Isabella retire.
Oh, Isabella! Isabella, how happy I am to see you well again. But I beseech you, what was the cause of your flight from the castle?
A friar brought word to the convent that your mother was dead.
Oh, Bianca has explained that mistake to me. On seeing me faint, she cried out, "The princess is dead!" And the good friar who had come to the usual dole to the castle.
And what made you faint?
My father. He was sitting in judgment on a criminal.
What criminal?
A young man. I think it was that young man that...
What, Theodore?
Yes. I never saw him before. I do not know how he had offended my father, but as he has been of service to you, I am glad my lord has pardoned him.
Served me. Do you term it serving me to wound my father and almost occasion his death? Though it has been since yesterday that I am blessed with knowing a parent, I hope Matilda does not think I am such a stranger to filial tenderness as not to resent the boldness of that audacious youth, and that it is impossible for me ever to feel any affection for one. Dared to lift his arm against the offer of my being. No, Matilda, my heart abhors him. And if you still retain the friendship
dearest, Isabella does not doubt her Matilda's friendship. I never beheld that youth until yesterday. He is almost a stranger to me. But as the surgeons have pronounced your father out of danger, you ought not to harbor uncharitable resentment against one whom I'm persuaded did not know the Marquis was related to you.
You plead his cause very pathetically, considering he is so much a stranger to you. I am mistaken that he returns your charity.
Oh, what mean you?
Nothing. Nothing, but what, think you, occasioned Manfred to take Theodore for a spectre?
Bless me, did you not observe his extreme resemblance to the portrait of Alfonso in the gallery? I took notice of it to Bianca even before I saw him in armor. But with the helmet on, he is the very image of that picture.
I do not much observe pictures, much less have I examined this young man so attentively as you seem to have done. Ah, Matilda, your heart is in danger, but let me warn you, as a friend, he has owned to me that he is in love. It cannot be with you, for yesterday was the first time you ever met, was it not?
Certainly, but why does my dearest Isabella conclude from anything I have said that my heart is in danger? He saw you first, my greatest friend. And I am far from having the vanity to think that my little portion of charms could engage a heart devoted to you. May you be happy, Isabella, whatever is the fate of Matilda.
My lovely friend, it is you that Theodore admires. I saw it, I am persuaded of it, nor shall a thought of my own happiness suffer me to interfere with yours.
Isabella, you have so much tenderness for Matilda, and interest yourself so kindly in whatever affects our wretched house, that I can have no secrets with my child which are not proper for you to hear.
Mother?
Know then, Isabella, and you, my dearest Matilda, that being convinced by all the events of these 2 last ominous days, that heaven proposes the scepter of Otranto should pass from Manfred's hands into those of the Marquis Frederick. I have been perhaps inspired with the thought of averting our total destruction by the union of our rival houses. With this view, I have been proposing to Manfred, my lord, to tender this dear, dear child to Frederick, your father. Me? To Lord Frederick? Good heavens, my gracious mother! And have you named it to my father? I have. He listened benignly to my proposal, and he's gone to break it to the Marquess.
Wretched princess, what hast thou done? What ruin has thy inadvertent goodness been preparing for thyself, for me, and for Matilda?
Ruin for me, to you, and to my child? What can this mean?
Alas, the purity of your own heart prevents your seeing the depravity of others. Manfred, your lord, that impious man!
Hold, you must not in my presence, young lady, mention Manfred with disrespect. He is my lord and husband.
And will not long be so, if his wicked purposes can be carried into execution.
Your speech amazes me. Your feeling, Isabella, is warm, but until this hour I have never knew it to betray you into intemperance. What deed of Manfred authorizes you to treat him as a murderer, an assassin?
Thou virtuous and too credulous princess, it is not thy life he aims at. It is to separate himself from thee, to divorce thee.
To divorce me?
To divorce my mother. Yes, and to complete his crime he meditates. I cannot speak it.
What can surpass what thou hast already uttered?
Excellent, dear lady, madam, mother, hear me, believe me, I will die 1,000 deaths sooner than consent to injure you, than yield to so odious the purpose of your impious husband. Oh,
this is too much. What crimes does one crime suggest? Dear Isabella, I do not doubt your virtue. Matilda, this stroke is too heavy for thee. Weep not, my child, and not a murmur, I charge thee. Remember, he is thy father still. But you are my mother too, and you are virtuous. You are guiltless. Oh, must not I complain? You must not. Come, all will yet be well. Manfred, in the agony for the loss of thy brother, knew not what he said. Perhaps Isabella misunderstood him. His heart is good, and my child, thou knowest not all. There's a destiny hangs over us. The hand of providence is stretched out. Oh, could I but save thee from the wreck? Yes, perhaps the may atone for all. I will go and offer myself to this divorce. If it's not what becomes of me, I will withdraw into the neighboring monastery and waste the remainder of my life in prayers and tears for my child and the prince.
Thou art as much too good for the prince as Manfred is execrable. But think not, lady, that thy weakness shall determine for me. I swear, hear me, all ye angels!
Stop, I adjure thee. Remember, thou dost not depend on thyself. Thou hast a father.
My father is too pious, too noble to command an impious deed. But should he command it, can a father enjoin a cursed act? I was contracted to the son. Can I wed the father? No, madam, no. Force should not drag me to Manfred's hated bed. I loathe him, I abhor him. Divine and human laws forbid, and my friend, my dearest Matilda, would I wound her tender soul by injuring her adored mother? My own mother. I have never known another.
Well, she is the mother of both. Can we, Isabella, adore her too much?
My lovely children, your tenderness overpowers me, but I must not give way to it. It is not ours to make election for ourselves. Heaven, our fathers, and our husbands must decide for us. Have patience until you hear what Manfred and Frederick have determined. If the Marquess accepts Matilda's hand, I know she will readily obey. Heaven may interpose and prevent the rest. Oh, what means my child? But no. Oh, answer me not, my daughter. I must not hear a word against the pleasure of thy father.
Oh, doubt not my obedience, my dreadful obedience to him and to you. But can I, most respected of women, can I experience all this tenderness, this world of goodness, and conceal a thought from the best of mothers?
Tell me no more, Matilda. I dread to hear it. I will go to the convent and order new masses to be said for a deliverance from these calamities.
Oh, my mother, you mean to quit us. You mean to take sanctuary and to give my father an opportunity of pursuing his fatal intention. Alas, on my knees, I supplicate you to forbear. Will you leave me a prey to Frederick? I will follow you to the convent.
Be at peace, my child. I will return instantly. I will never abandon thee until I know it is the will of heaven and for thy benefit.
Jerome, at quitting the castle overnight, had questioned Theodore severely why he had accused him to Manfred of being privy to his escape. Theodore owned it had been with design to prevent Manfred's suspicion from alighting on Matilda, and added the holiness of Jerome's life and character secured him from the tyrant's wrath. Jerome was heartily grieved to discover his son's inclination for that princess, and leaving him to his rest, promised in the morning to acquaint him with important reasons for conquering his passion. Theodore, like Isabella, was too recently acquainted with parental authority to submit to its decisions against the impulse of his heart. He had little curiosity to learn the friar's reasons and less disposition to obey them. The lovely Matilda had made stronger impressions on him than filial affection. All night he pleased himself with visions of love, and it was not till late after the morning office that he recollected the friar's commands to attend him at Alfonso's tomb.
Young man, this tardiness does not please me. Have a father's commands already so little weight, and on whom were thy dreams employed? Come, come, inconsiderate youth, this must not be. Eradicate this guilty passion from thy breast.
Guilty passion? Can guilt dwell with innocent beauty and virtuous modesty?
It is sinful to cherish those whom heaven has doomed to destruction. A tyrant's race must be swept from the earth to the third and fourth generation.
Will heaven visit the innocent for crimes of the guilty? The fair Matilda has virtues enough.
To undo thee, hast thou so soon forgotten that twice the savage Manfred has pronounced thy sentence?
Nor have I forgotten, sir, that the charity of his daughter delivered me from his power. I can forget injuries, but never benefits.
The injuries thou hast received from Manfred's race are beyond what thou canst conceive. Reply not, but view this holy image. Beneath this marble monument rest the ashes of the good Alfonso, a prince adorned with every virtue, the father of his people, the delight of mankind. Kneel, headstrong boy, and list while the father unfolds a tale of horror that will expel every sentiment from thy soul but sensations of sacred vengeance. Alfonso, most injured prince, let thy unsatisfied shade sit awful in the troubled air, while these trembling lips... who comes there?
The most wretched of women. Good father, art thou at leisure? But why this kneeling youth? What means the horror printed on each countenance? Why this venerable tomb? Alas, hast thou seen aught?
We were pouring forth our orisons to heaven to put an end to the woes of this deplorable province. Join with us, lady. Thy spotless soul may obtain an exemption from the judgments which the portents of these days but too speakingly denounce against thy house.
I pray fervently to heaven to divert them. Thou knowest it has been the occupation of my life to wrest a blessing for my lord and my harmless children. One, alas, is taken from me. Would heaven but hear me for my poor Matilda. Father, intercede for her.
Every heart will bless her.
Be dumb, rash youth, and thou, fond princess, contend not with the powers above. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. Bless his holy name, and submit to his decrees.
I do, most devoutly, but will he not spare my only comfort? Must Matilda perish too? Oh, Father, I came, but dismiss thy son. No ear but thine must hear what I have to utter.
May heaven grant thy every wish, most excellent princess.
Madam, what business drew you hither? Did you not await my return with the Marquis?
I came to implore a blessing on your counsels.
My counsels do not need a friar's intervention, and of all men living is that hoary traitor the only one whom you delight to confer with.
Profane prince, is it at the altar that thou choosest to insult the servants of the altar? But Manfred, thy impious schemes are known. Heaven and his virtuous lady know them. Nay, frown not, prince. The church despises thy menaces. Her thunders will be heard above thy wrath. Dare to proceed in thy cursed purpose of a divorce until her sentence be known. And here I lance her anathema at thy head.
Audacious rebel! Dost thou presume to threaten the lawful prince?
Thou art no lawful prince. Thou art no prince. Go, discuss thy claim with Frederick, and when this is done...
It is done! Frederick accepts Matilda's hand and is content to waive his claim, unless I have no male issue.
At that moment, 3 drops of blood fell from the nose of Alfonso's statue, inspiring even the prince with awe and terror.
Behold, mark this miraculous indication that the blood of Alfonso will never mix with that of Manfred.
My gracious Lord, let us submit ourselves to heaven. Speak not, thy ever-obedient wife rebels against thy authority. I have no will but that of my Lord and the Church. To that revered tribunal let us appeal. It does not depend on us to burst the bonds that unite us. If the Church shall approve the dissolution of our marriage, be it so. I have but few years, and those of sorrow to pass. Where can they be worn away so well as at the foot of this altar, in prayers for thine and Matilda's safety?
But thou shalt not remain here until then. Repair with me to the castle, and there I will advise on the proper measures for a divorce. But this meddling friar comes not thither. My hospitable roof shall never more harbor a traitor, and for thy reverence's offerings, offspring, I banish him from my domains. He, I ween, is no sacred personage, nor under the protection of the Church. Whoever weds Isabella, it shall not be Father Falconara's started-up son.
They start up who are suddenly beheld in the seat of lawful princes, but they wither away like the grass, and their place knows them no more.
Manfred comes across Bianca in the entrance to Frederick's room.
Ah, young damsel.
Yes, my lord.
Tell me, maiden, do you know of the state of Isabella's affections?
I, my lord? No, my lord. Yes, my lord. Poor lady, she is wonderfully alarmed about her father's wounds. But I tell her he will do well. Don't your highness think so?
I do not ask you what she thinks about her father, but you are in her secrets. Come, be a good girl and tell me, is there any young man? You understand me?
Lord bless me, understand your highness? No, not I. I told her a few vulnerary herbs and repose.
I'm not talking about her father. I know he will do well.
Bless
bless me, I rejoice to hear your highness say so. For though I thought it might not right to let my young lady despond, methought his greatness had a wan look and a something. I remember when young Ferdinand was wounded by the Venetian.
Thou answerest from the point. But here, take this jewel. Perhaps that may fix thy attention. Nay, no reverences. My favor shall not stop there. Come, tell me truly, how stands Isabella's heart?
Well, your highness has such a way. But can your highness keep a secret?
Oh.
If it should ever come out of your lips.
Oh, not
By my Paladin, if it should ever be known that I said it, but in truth is truth, I do not think my Lady Isabella ever much affectioned my young lord, your son. Yet he was a sweet youth, as one should see. I am sure if I had been a princess, but bless me, I must attend the Lady Matilda. She will marvel what has become of me.
Stay, thou hast not satisfied my question. Hast thou ever carried any message, any letter from Isabella to that Theodore?
I? Good gracious, I carry a letter. I would not to be a queen. I hope your highness thinks so. I am poor, I am honest. Did your highness never hear what Count Marsigli offered me when he came a-wooing to my Lady Matilda?
I have not leisure to listen to thy tale. I do not question thy honesty, but it is thy duty to conceal nothing from me. How long has Isabella been acquainted with Theodore?
Nay, there is nothing can escape your highness. Now that I know anything of the matter, Theodore, to be sure, is a proper young man. And as my Lady Matilda says, the very image of good Alfonso. Has not your highness remarked it?
Yes, yes. No, tortures me. Where did they meet? When?
Lord, your highness is not jealous of young Theodore.
Oh, no. Why should I be jealous? Perhaps I mean to unite them. If we were sure Isabella would have no repugnance.
Repugnance? No, I'll warn her. He is as comely a youth as ever trod on Christian ground. We are all in love with him. There is not a soul in the castle but would be rejoiced to have him for our prince. I mean, when it shall please heaven to call your highness to itself.
Indeed. Has it gone so far? Oh, that's cursed friar. I must not lose time. Go, Bianca. Attend Isabella. But I charge thee, not a word of what has passed. Find out how she's affected towards Theodore. Bring me good news, and that ring has companion. Wait at the foot of the winding staircase. I'm going to visit the Marquise, and will further talk with thee at my return.
Ah, my lord the prince, have you acquainted your daughter with the nature of my affections?
Lady Hippolyta has gone to speak with her, I understand. However, there are some slight difficulties that will attend the celebration of your marriage, unless...
Oh, my lord, you're all undone! It has come again, it has come again!
What is coming again?
Oh, the hands, the giants, the hand! Oh, support me, support me. Oh, I am terrified out of my senses. I will not sleep in the castle tonight. Oh, where shall I go? My veins may come after me tomorrow. Would I had been content to win Francesco? Oh, this consummate bishop.
What has terrified thee thus, young woman? Thou art safe here, be not alarmed.
Oh, your greatness is wonderfully good, but I dare not. No, pray, let me go. I had rather leave everything behind me than stay another hour under this roof.
Go through, thou hast lost thy sentence. Interrupt us not. We are communing on important matters. My lord, this wench is subject to fits. Come with me, Bianca.
Oh, the saints, no, for certain it comes to warn your highness. Why should it appear to me else? I say my prayers every morning and evening. Oh, if your highness had believed Diego, 'tis the same hand that he saw the foot of in the cavalry chamber. Father Jerome has often told us that the prophecy would be out one of these days. Bianca, said he, mark my words.
Now, begone and keep these fooleries that frighten thy companions.
What? My lord, do you think I have seen nothing? Go to the foot of the great stairs yourself. As I live, I saw it.
Saw what? Tell us, fair maid, what thou hast seen.
Can your highness listen to the delirium of a silly wench who has heard stories of apparitions until she believes them?
This is more than fancy. Her terror is too natural and too strongly impressed to be the work of imagination. Tell us, fair maiden, what has moved thee thus?
Yes, my lord, thank your greatness. I believe I look very pale. I shall be better when I have recovered myself. I was going to my Lady Isabella's chambers by His Highness' order.
We don't need the circumstances, since His Highness will have it so. Proceed, but be brief.
Lord, your Highness thwarts oneself. I fear my hair. I am sure I never in my life. Well, as I was telling your greatness, I was going by His Highness' order to my Lady Isabella's chamber. She lies in the watch-it-colored chamber on the right hand, one pair of stairs. So when I came up the great stairs, I was looking on His Highness present here. So as I was rubbing the ring, I am sure I had not gone up 3 steps, but I heard the rattling of armor. For all the world, such a clatter, as Diego said he heard when the giant turned him about in the gallery chamber.
What giant is this, my lord? Is your castle haunted by giants and goblins?
Lord! What? Has not your greatness heard the story of the giant in the gallery chamber? I marvel His Highness has not told you. Mayhap you do not know. There is a prophecy.
This trifling is intolerable. Let us dismiss this silly wench, my lord. We have more important affairs to discuss.
By your favor, these are no trifles. The enormous saber I was directed to in the wood, yon casket's fellow, are these visions of this poor maiden's brain?
Oh, so Jacques was thinks, may it please your greatness. He says this moon will not be out without her seeing some strange revelation. For my part, I should not be surprised if it was to happen tomorrow. For, as I was saying, when I heard the clattering of armor, I was all in a cold sweat. I looked up, and if your greatness will believe me, I saw upon the uppermost banister of the great stairs a hand in armor as big. I thought I should have swooned. I never stopped until I came hither. Would I were well out of this castle. My Lady Matilda but told me, but yesterday morning, that Her Highness Napolitan knows something.
Thou art insolent! Lord Marquis, it much misgives me that this scene is concerted to affront me. Are mine own domestic subordinate to spread tales injurious to my honor? Pursue your claim by manly daring, or let us bury our feuds as was proposed by the intermarriage of our children. But trust me, it ill becomes a prince of your bearing to practice on mercenary wenches.
I scorn your imputation. Until this hour, I never set eyes on this damsel. I had given her no jewel. My lord, your conscience, your guilt accuses you and would throw the suspicion on me. But keep your daughter and think no more of Isabella. The judgment's already fallen on your house, forbid me matching onto it. Oh, but the fair Matilda.
Frederick rushes off. Manfred is furious. Diego enters hesitantly.
My lord, I have watched at the tomb of the great Alfonso as you commanded. At moments, a lady from the castle, I could not discern which, is in conference with the young Theodore.
It must be Isabella. Even now, she drove me from her, no doubt, eager in haste to meet this Theodore. But if I cannot have her, then no son of the traitress Falconara shall.
Manfred rushes off, followed by Diego. Matilda and Theodore are speaking secretly at the tomb of Alfonso. Manfred enters behind so that he cannot see Matilda's face.
Does it, alas, depend on me? Manfred will never permit our union.
No, this shall prevent it.
Manfred draws his dagger and plunges it over the shoulder of Matilda into her heart. She spins around to face him, and he sees that it is his daughter.
Ah, me, I am slain. Good heaven, receive my soul.
Savage and human monster, what hast thou done?
Stop thy impious hand. It is my father.
Manfred, waking as from a trance, beat his breast, twisted his hands in his locks, and endeavored to recover his dagger from Theodore to dispatch himself. Theodore, scarce less distracted, and only mastering the transports of his grief to assist Matilda, had now by his cries drawn some of the monks to his aid, while part of them endeavored, in concert with the afflicted Theodore, to stop the blood of the dying princess. The rest prevented Manfred from laying violent hands on himself. Matilda, resigning herself patiently to her fate, acknowledged with looks of grateful love the zeal of Theodore. Yet oft as her faintness would permit her speech its way, she begged the assistants to comfort her father. Jerome, by this time, had learned the fatal news and reached the church. His looks seemed to reproach Theodore, but turning to Manfred, he said,
"Now, tyrant, behold the completion of woe fulfilled on thy impious and devoted head. The blood of Alfonso cried to heaven for vengeance, and heaven has permitted its altar to be polluted by assassination, that thou mightest shed thy own blood at the foot of that prince's sepulchre."
Cruel man, to aggravate the woes of a parent. May heaven bless my father, and forgive him as I do. My lord, my gracious sire, dost thou forgive thy child? Indeed, I came not hither to meet Theodore. I found him praying at this tomb, whither my mother sent me to intercede for thee, for her. Dearest father, bless your child and say you forgive her.
Forgive thee? Oh, murderous monster, can assassins forgive? I took thee for Isabella, but heaven directed my bloody hand to the heart of my child. Oh, Matilda, I cannot utter it. Canst thou not forgive the blindness of my rage?
I can and I do, and may heaven confirm it. But while I have a life to ask it, oh, my mother, what will she feel? Will you comfort her, my lord? Will you not put her away? Indeed, she loves me. She loves you. Oh, I am faint. Bear me to the castle. Can I live to have her close my eyes? How?
Gracious princess, allow me to remove you from this dreadful place of death and horror.
Remove me? Never, never. I live but in her and will expire with her.
Since she cannot live mine, at least shall she be mine in death. Father, Jerome, will you not join our hands?
What means thy distracted rashness? Is this an hour for marriage?
It is. Alas, there is no other.
Young man, thou art too unadvised. Dost thou think we are to listen to thy fond transport in this hour of fate? What pretensions hast thou to the princess?
Those of a prince, the sovereign of Otranto. This reverend man, my father, has informed me who I am.
Thou rabbist. There is no prince of Otranto but myself. Now Manfred, by murder, by sacrilegious murder, has forfeited all pretensions.
My lord, he tells you true. It was not my purpose. The secret should have been divulged so soon, but fate presses onward with its work. What his hot-headed passion has revealed, my tongue confirms. Know, prince, that when Alfonso set sail for the Holy Land...
Is this a season for explanations? Father, come and unite me to the princess. She shall be mine. In every other thing I will dutifully obey you. My life, my adored Matilda, will you not be mine? Will you not bless
Be
her?
silent! The princess is near her end.
What, is she dead? Is it possible?
My mother, where is my mother?
I am here. Think not I will quit thee.
Oh, you are too good. But weep not for me, my mother. I am going where sorrow never dwells. Isabella, thou hast loved me. Wouldst thou not supply my fondness to this dear, dear woman? Indeed, I am faint.
Oh, my child, can I not withhold thee a moment?
It will not be. Command me to heaven. Where is my father? Forgive him, dearest mother. Forgive him my death. It was an error. Oh, I had forgotten. Dearest mother, I have never to see Theodore more. Perhaps that has drawn down this calamity, but it was not intentional. Can you pardon me?
Oh, wound not my agonizing soul. Thus never could offend me. Alas, she faints. Help! Help!
I would say something more, but it cannot be. Isabella, Theodore, for my sake. Oh.
Matilda dies.
What, is she dead?
A clap of thunder at that instant shook the castle to its foundations. The earth rocked, and the clank of more than mortal armor was heard behind. Frederick and Jerome thought the last day was at hand. The latter, forcing Theodore along with them, rushed into the court. The moment Theodore appeared, the walls of the castle behind Manfred were thrown down by a mighty force, and the form of Alfonso, dilated to an immense magnitude, appeared in the center of the ruins. Behold in Theodore the true heir of Alfonso! And having pronounced those words, accompanied by a clap of thunder, it ascended solemnly towards heaven, where the clouds parting asunder, the form of St. Nicholas was seen, and receiving Alfonso's shade, they were soon wrapped from mortal eyes in a blaze of glory.
My lord, behold the vanity of human greatness. Conrad is gone. Matilda is no more. In Theodore we view the true Prince of Otranto. By what miracle he is, so I know not. Suffice it to us, our doom is pronounced. Shall we not, can we but dedicate the few deplorable hours we have to live, deprecating the further wrath of heaven? Heaven ejects us. Whither can we fly, but to yon holy cells that yet offer us a retreat?
Oh, guiltless but unhappy woman, unhappy by my crimes, my heart at last is open to thy devout admonitions. How could, but it cannot be. Ye are lost in wonder. Let me at last do justice to myself. To heap shame on my head is all the satisfaction I have left to offer to offended heaven. My story has drawn down these judgments. Let my confession atone. But, what can atone for usurpation and a murdered child? A child murdered in a consecrated place. List, sirs, and may this bloody record be a warning to future tyrants. Alfonso, as you all know, died in the Holy Land. Yet he wouldn't interrupt me. He would say he had not come fairly to an end. It is most true. Why else this bitter cup which Manfred must drink to dregs? Ricardo, thy grandfather, was his chamberlain. I would draw a veil over my ancestors' crimes, but it is in vain. Alfonso died by poison. A fictitious will declared Ricardo his heir. His crimes pursued him. Yet he lost no Conrad, no Matilda. I pay the price for usurpation for all. The storm overtook him. Haunted by his guilt, he vowed to St. Nicholas to found a church and 2 convents as he lived, if he lived to reach Otranto. The sacrifice was accepted. The saint appeared to him in a dream and promised that Ricardo's posterity should reign in Otranto until the rightful owner should be grown too large to inhabit the castle, and as long as male issue from Ricardo's loins should remain to enjoy it. Alas, alas! No, nor male nor female except myself remains of all his wretched grace. I have done. The woes of these 3 days speak the rest. How this young man can be Alfonso's heir, I know not. Yet I do not doubt it. His are these dominions, I resign them. Yet I know not Alfonso had an heir. I question not the will of heaven. Poverty and prayer must fill up my woeful space until Manfred shall be summoned to Ricardo.
What remains is my part to declare. When Alfonso set sail for the Holy Land, he was driven by a storm to the coast of Sicily. The other vessel, which bore Ricardo in his train, as your lordship must have heard, was separated from him.
It is most true, and the title you gave me is more than an outcast can claim. Well, be it so. Proceed.
For 3 months, Lord Alfonso was windbound in Sicily. There he became enamored of a fair virgin named Victoria. He was too pious to tempt her forbidden pleasures. They were married, yet deeming this amour incongruous with the holy vow of arms by which he was bound, he determined to conceal their nuptials until his return from the crusade, when he purposed to seek and acknowledge her for his lawful wife. He left her pregnant. During his absence, she was delivered of a daughter, but scarce had she felt a mother's pangs ere she heard the fatal rumor of her lord's death and the succession of Ricardo. What could a friendless, helpless woman do? Would her testimony avail? Yet, my lord, I have authentic writing.
It needs not. The horrors of these days, the visions we have but now seen, all corroborate thy evidence beyond 1,000 parchments. Matilda's death and my expulsion.
Be composed, my lord. This holy man did not mean to recall your griefs.
I shall not dwell on what is needless. The daughter of which Victoria was delivered was at her maturity bestowed in marriage on me. Victoria died, and the secret remained locked in my breast. Theodore's narrative has told the rest.
The friars ceased. The disconsolate company retired to the remaining part of the castle. In the morning, Manfred signed his abdication of the principality with the approbation of the Colata, and each took on them the habit of religion in the neighboring convents. Frederick offered his daughter to the new prince, which Hippolyta's tenderness for Isabella concurred to promote. But Theodore's grief was too fresh to admit the thought of another love, and it was not until after frequent discourses with Isabella of his dear Matilda that he was persuaded he could know no happiness but in the society of one with whom he could forever indulge the melancholy that had taken possession of his soul. Fiend.